A family of four have moved into stepmummy's haunted childhood home, and the youngest daughter decides to befriend a possessed teddy bear. It turns out that he's got the shits with our protagonist, and has some unfinished business with her. It's time to jump on a game of Blumhouse horror movie cliche bingo in Imaginary. Hello there, you loose units, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, Imaginary, directed here by Jeff Wadlow, known for directing the films Never Back Down, Kick-Ass 2, and Fantasy Island, just to name a few. This film is brought to you by Blumhouse, which means it's either going to be really, really good, or really, really shit. And on that note, I hope you got your Blumhouse horror movie cliche bingo card ready, and let's play. We meet a fresh family of four. Check. We have step-mummy Jessica, who is one of those creative types just trying to connect with her two adoptive daughters. Check. There's teenage daughter who has more attitude than WWE in 1998. Check. Smaller, younger daughter Alice, who will totally not get into anything creepy and be the catalyst for anything scary. Check. We do have Daddy as well, who, from what I gather from the film, is an English rock star who goes on tour constantly. And he's played by The Walking Dead's Tom Paine. But that character's not too important. He's in about 4 scenes and then fucks off for plot convenience. The family of four then move into Stepmummy Pooh's childhood home. Oddly enough, Jessica has no memory of this house when she was 5 years old, and not knowing why they moved out in the first place. Nothing scary ever happened here, and she doesn't have those suppressed memories. Check. It's not long before stepdaughter gives Mummy Poos all the sass that she can cash. However, Jessica is starting to connect with younger daughter Alice, who just so happens to find a creepy bear in the basement. No, not that one! A creepy old teddy bear going by the name of Chauncey, who is totally not possessed. Check. The bear becomes her imaginary friend, and then they go off on a scavenger hunt together, which can only go well. Of course, creepy shit starts to happen, everything becomes unsettling, and Alice starts acting all kinds of weird. On their scavenger hunt, Alice needs to collect items for reasons. She needs a paintbrush, bugs, blood, something that scares her, something that makes her happy, and a partridge in a pear tree. We get a visit from an elderly next-door neighbour by the name of Mrs. Exposition. She just so happens to have lived in this neighbourhood the whole time next door and used to be Jessica's babysitter way back when. She has all this info to drop on this new family of four, but she's going tight-lipped, keeping it to herself. I mean, she could easily tell them what the fuck is going on, but she's waiting for the opportune moment. Check! Things begin to ramp up and the scares start arising. Then some shit goes down before the climax, and I won't spoil what it is, but I will say that Jessica and Little Miss Attitude Era team up to take on the big threat at the end. Check! Then it's about the 45-minute mark before the end when Mrs. Exposition starts dumping on us all. She catches us all up to speed, and then we know what the threat actually is. Then we get a little twisty twist, and then the third act happens, which is actually all kinds of awesome. Check! This film, although heavy on the cliches, is really engaging and entertaining, and I honestly had a great time watching it. It had an old school vibe to it, and that last act definitely had sort of an 80s horror film feel to it, pretty much like House and Hellraiser 2. There's some really awesome, unsettling, creepy imagery throughout the film as well. There's certain creepy things in the background, moving around out of focus, unbeknownst to the character on screen. There are a couple of jump scares here and there, but they're not overly used and not over obnoxious either. Yeah, check. Restraint on the jump scares in a modern horror film? Preposterous! The acting is a little bit meh, it's okay, except for the actor who plays Alice, Piper Braun. She is phenomenal in this. The kid is fantastic. She gives a killer performance and does some pretty awesome emotional scenes at times. She's out-acting all the adult performers in this film. As for the cliches in this film, I'm actually okay with it. They're kind of comfort food for the brain for horror films. In saying that though, the cliche of the teenage daughter with angst thing I think needs to go away. I think it's become really tiresome and is eye-rolling at this point. And that's not a dig at the actor playing the teenage daughter in this. She does a fine job. I think it's just a trope that we need to let go of. This is actually one of the better Blumhouse films. I really enjoyed it. And the film clocking in at 1 hour and 44 minutes, mwah, perfection. It's definitely worth the watch for horror fans. Is it predictable? Sure it is. Are there cliches aplenty? Of course. Is it good, cheap, creepy, entertaining fun? You bet your bum bum. Anyway guys, that's my cheeky little review of Imaginary. I really enjoyed it. I do recommend it. Write down below if you've seen it. What are your thoughts on it? But more importantly, what is your favourite Blumhouse film? And of course, you've made it this far into the episode. Please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give it an episode weekly. And I'll see you back here next week for the next review. And until then, stay spooky, kids.